David Ivory. You're not David Ivory, I know that.
David Ivory.
You're in disguise.
John Sullivan.
You look exactly like John Sullivan.
Yeah, from the Canterbury Workers Education Association. I'm the
Thanks,
new president. I'm the new David Ivory. Thank you for hearing me, Mayor and councillors. Kia ora koutou. I have handouts, please. Thank you. But just to introduce the Canterbury Workers Educational Association, we're a non-profit organisation. We offer a wide range of educational courses for adults. We are based at 59 Gloucester Street, right in the city centre, and we've just recently had our centenary. We've been around for 100 years, and Her Worship the Mayor attended very graciously. And so we've got a stake in Christchurch. Many of our participants are elderly, some disadvantaged, and we operate on principles of fostering equity and social justice. We've put a main submission in, and I'm handing round a transport submission. We also put a brief submission in on transport, which was recommending a frequent shuttle bus in the northwest of the city, of the CBD. But this paper that you're just receiving now replaces and supplements that. So I'd just like to speak briefly to that first. And that is, thank you. Oh, thank you. And that is that we have previously made submissions on this to the Hagley Ferrymead Board, and so the first recommendation in terms of bus access is we do ask for a shuttle service, a frequent shuttle service running from the bus exchange and a loop that services the museum, the art gallery, and would allow easy access to our own rooms as well. We're right opposite the Christchurch Art Gallery, so when that reopens, the same problems will be had by the art gallery. So that's the first submission. The second one is on car parking, and there's a bit of an analysis there with our submission. And we note that in that area around about Gloucester Street, it's anticipated there'll be a need for 100 to 250 short-term car parking spaces in the near future. So there's a shortfall, and we know alternative parking is being considered, and that's sort of tied in with art gallery parking as well. But we do recommend a priority for the council to focus on the delivery of short stay parking rather than long stay commuter parking to allow the functioning of all of our organisations and within that CBD area. So that's just a summary of what's just been handed out now. I'd like to just now move to the main submission, which you will have received electronically. And the first part of that is that we're very anxious, and we urge that the Strengthening Communities Fund be maintained and not reduced. There's a huge impact on the disadvantaged neighbourhoods and the vulnerable residents.
You may not have picked up, but we did advise a number of people, but obviously didn't get through to the WEA.
Thank you.
That it was an error in the printing of the activity management plan, that it showed the reduction. We actually decided as a council not to reduce it because we're reviewing the whole way that we provide funds into the community to get it a more resilience focus. So,
thank you, ma'am.
And that's a process that's going on after the LTP process.
Oh, that's very helpful to know. I had heard a rumour about that, but I couldn't substantiate it.
Yep.
So, but
it was unfortunate, and I do apologise. Yeah.
Thank you, Mum. We do urge that is an important matter for the council to maintain those community organisations and links, and the active citizenship and the building stronger communities is all part of that. Our second part is more on the assets and so on, the financial side of things, and we do appreciate that the council has to operate in the real world and not an idealised world. Our preference is that and I know that there are legal realities to face for the council, but that the annual planning process makes adjustments at a time when the whole financial situation becomes clearer. And we understand that the peak debt's around 2019 or 2020, and we generally recommend that council assets be retained until that time, and the situation be properly reassessed by them, because things may have changed significantly by that time. And we also recommend delaying those big expensive anchor projects for some time yet, to allow margin in our revenue. And we ask that the council continue to negotiate, as we know they're doing with central government, to keep getting a better arrangement for Christchurch. And we respectfully suggest that and encourage, as far as practicable, that funding for renewal of capital assets be from depreciation rather than debt. Would expect that's mostly a practice, and I appreciate there's more to it than that, and that when there are new community assets created, there's inflation factors, and there are enhancement factors in connection with especially post-earthquake requirements with that, but that's a general recommendation for future sustainability of assets, that depreciation be considered for in there. And we also ask that community-related funding, the urgent community-related funding, especially from needs coming out of the earthquake situation, be given priority over the anchor projects at this time. So, and so those are my submissions, ladies and gentlemen, and I'd be very happy to take questions.
Can I just start on the bus question, because I have to say that the change of routes didn't really suit me very well either, and I now have to walk 4 blocks, whereas I just used to get dropped off at the corner on Worcester, but right by Worcester Street on Cambridge Terrace. So, I mean, we don't control the routes. We only control the, well, not much really. we just pay for the shelters and the bus stops and the bus priority lanes and the interchanges. This hub and spokes model that was approved before, I mean, is that part of the problem, because people have to get off buses and on buses, and they've got to plan this whole route, sort of ahead of themselves? Yeah.
It certainly is, ma'am. There are 2 examples in there of people making fairly short journeys who have to really jump around.
There was an idea that one of the submitters made, because the question was asked around the yellow buses, the electric buses that used to go around for free. But the suggestion was that in the meantime, why not make every bus trip inside the 4 avenues free? So if you park out at one of the 4 avenues, you can basically get into town for free from there.
It has merit, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, certainly. Although I'm particularly enamoured of our suggested shuttle service. Of course, I appreciate that probably the other council is responsible for instigating something like that, but I'm sure there's crossover in recommendations. But it would seem to me that a free shuttle around the main attractions would have merit.
Well, I cannot for the life of me I can't stand seeing empty buses. These great big massive things trundling through our damaged streets with
yes.
no one on them, or one
Yes.
or two people. Anyway, does anyone have a question? Jimmy?
One question. You suggest one of the anchor project, the new children playground, to delay, postpone. But do you have any the idea regarding the current existing facility can provide to the children or their family to make a fun to play in the CBD? Have any existing one?
I think, Mr. Chen, it's a matter of, it's a question of priorities.
Yeah.
And we feel that the money should, rather than to a central city playground where there are very few people with children in that living in that area, should more go to perhaps places in the east, children's facilities and so on there, rather than a big playground that will no doubt come into its own in time, but maybe the time for that is not yet.
That's great. Look, thank you very much. Good to see you. And is David still involved?
Yes, David's still on the council.
Oh, that's
He's
good.
the past president.
Okay, well, just give him my regards, won't you?
Thank you very much.
Great.